Hi all, welcome to this video on permutations and combinations. We will take up one good example today. So let's look at that question. 4 shoes are selected out of 5 different pair of shoes. Find number of ways as that selected shoes has. And there are 3 parts to this question. So the 4 selected shoes out of the 5 different pairs have to have exactly 1 pair, exactly 2 pair, or no complete pair. Okay. All right. So I would like you to attempt the question first by pausing the video. Once you are done, you can have a look at how we proceed from here. Okay, so 5 different pair of shoes is basically total of 10 shoes, and we need to pick 4 shoes out of that. Now, just for the ease of ease of understanding, let's take examples of these shoes. So let's say we have A1, B1, A2, B2, A3, B3, A4, B4, and A5, B5 as 5 pairs where all A's are left foot shoes and all B's are right foot shoes. So A1, B1 represents first pair where A1 is left foot shoe and B1 is right foot shoe, so on and so forth. Okay, now let's tackle the first part, which is exactly 1 pair should be there in the 4 shoes. Let's look at what possible examples will come when we'll pull out those 4 shoes with exactly 1 pair. So one example could be A2, B2, A4, B4, where A2, B2 are coming from 1 complete pair and A4, B4 are separate shoes and do not form pair. Similarly, A3, B3 are pairs in the second example, while A2 and B4 are independent shoes, non-pair shoes. And in the last example, A1, B1 are pair shoes, complete pair shoes, and A3, B3 are independent non-pair shoes, right? And then there can be more such examples. But how do we go about calculating it? Let's look at one method of doing that. So what if because we had to get one exact pair, what if out of the 5 pairs we select or choose 1 pair, and then from the remaining 8 shoes we select 2 shoes in a way that those 2 shoes are non-pair shoes. Okay, so for example, let's say first pair out of 5 pairs, let's that pair is A2, B2 as highlighted here. In how many ways can I do that? 5C1, right? Because 5 pairs are there and 1 pair needs to be chosen. So 5C1. And means multiplication, and I need to choose 2 more shoes. Now, if I had to build different cases, what those cases would look like. So either if I choose the remaining 2 shoes only from left foot shoes of the remaining shoes. So for example, if I only choose A's, right? A1, A3, A4 or A5 from A1, A3, A4, A5. I'm sure to get a non-pair shoe, right? Because they will never form pairs. They are all left shoes. Similarly, by symmetry, if I only chose right foot shoes, then there's no chance of it forming a pair. So one possibility is that I choose 2 shoes out of 4 left shoes. Second possibility is that I choose 2 right shoes from 4 given right shoes. Or third possibility is also that I choose 1 left and 1 right shoe and just ensure that none of them is coming from the same pair, right? So let's look at them one by one. And there is no other condition left, right? This is all. This is an exclusive set of combinations. Now, the first part, which is, we talked about 2 lefts, 2 rights, 1 left and 1 right. So 2 lefts out of 4 lefts can be chosen in 4C2 ways. Similarly, 2 rights can be chosen in 4C2 ways from 4 rights. 1 left can be chosen. So let's say if I have to, from A1, A3, A4, if I have to select 1 left, I can do that in 4C1 ways. Now, if I've selected 1 out of the 4 left, let's say I've chosen A4, then I cannot choose B4, right? Otherwise, A4, B4 will become pair. So B4 is gone for me, right? B2 is already gone for me, right? Because I have already selected 1 complete pair. So I only have 3 choices, B1, B3, B5 on the right foot side. And out of that, I have to select one right shoe, right? So 1 out of 3 can be chosen in 3C1 ways. So the options I only have is 3. Out of that, 1 has to be chosen in 3C1 ways. So these are our total number of possibilities. So 5C1 is nothing but 5, 4C2 is 6, so 6 plus 6, and 4C1 into 3C1 is 12. So this calculates to 120. So there are 120 number of ways of finding 4 shoes with exactly one pair in there. Is there any other way of solving this question? Think about it. Alright, let's look at another method now. So what if I select one pair out of the 5 pairs first, then choose 2 distinct pairs out of the remaining 4. Then from each chosen pair, select only one shoe. So what I mean is, let's look at this here. Let's say I've chosen one pair as A2, B2. That I can do in 5C1 ways, right? From 5 pairs. Now, let's say I have chosen 2 more pairs now. Okay, see, at the end of the day, when you have to choose 4 shoes in which exactly one pair is there, you will have to touch 3 pairs, right? One pair you have to touch so that you can take the entire pair as it is. It's a complete pair. And remaining 2 pairs you have to select such that you can pick out one shoe only from those pairs. So eventually you have to touch 3, right? 3 of them. So now first was chosen in 5C1 ways. Remaining 2 we will select from the remaining 4 pairs in how many ways? So remaining 2 pairs will be selected in 4C2 ways. Now we have selected, let's say, for example, A3, B3 and A5, B5, for example. Now, what we have to do is go to each of these and just select one out of the 2 shoes in any given pair. So in A3, B3, we will select one that I can do in 2C1 ways. From A5, B5, again, I have to select one that also I can do in 2C1 ways, right? Because I can either select A5 or I can select B5. So out of 2, I have to choose one. Okay. So I hope this is clear. From here on, you just calculate 5 multiplied 4C2 is 6 and then 2 squared. So this comes out to be 120 again. Okay, let's look at one more method to solve this question. And make sure you understand this as well. So let's say if I selected 3 pairs from the 5 pairs first, directly 3 pairs. Okay. And these 3 pairs are the ones that are going to give us those 4 shoes. Then we choose one pair out of the 3 pair, which will give me the complete pair. Okay. So I'm now done with the complete pair. Now there are 2 pairs remaining. I just select one shoe each from them. Right. The conceptual part is still the same the way we did the earlier, but the flow is slightly different. So for example, I will show you here what I'm talking about. We select 3 out of 5 pairs. We can do that in 5C3 ways. Now, out of these 3 pairs, we have to find one pair which we will treat ultimately as a complete pair. So let's do that. In how many ways can I select that one pair out of these 3 pairs? I can do that in 3C1 ways. Let's say this is A3, B3. So I can do that in 3C1 ways. Now the fact that this is already chosen and the fate of other 2 pairs is already decided because that was already selected in when we did 5C3, I just have to visit the remaining 2 pairs and get one shoe out of each of those pairs. So if I have to get one shoe out of A1, B1, in how many ways can I do that? And if I have to take it out from A5, B5, I can do that in 2C1 ways as well. And if I have to take it from A1, B1, I will do it in 2C1 ways as well. That's it. So did you notice the difference in this method compared to the previous method? Right? Because we had already selected all the 3 pairs at once, we didn't have to again make the selection for the remaining 2 pairs. Right? We just had to go there and select one out of the 2 in that pair. So now if you calculate this, 5C3 is basically 10. 3C1 is 3, 2C1 into 2C1 is 2 squared. So this is 10 into 12. Again, you get the same value, 120. Make sure you understand each of the three methods of solving this question so that you can understand and use it on different problem types. Okay, now let's look at the second part, which is exactly two pairs should be there, and this is fairly easy. So all you have to do is, before we move forward, let's look at some examples. So one example is A1, B1, A2, B2. Both, there are two pairs we can clearly see, A1, B1 and A2, B2. Another example is A3, B3, A5, B5. So now it is as simple as just there are 5 pairs and I have to select 2 pairs. So this method selects 2 pairs out of 5 pairs, and that can be done in 5C2 ways. So let's say those 2 pairs are these 2 that are highlighted, and we can do it in 5C2 ways. That's it. 5C2 is nothing but 5 factorial upon 3 factorial multiplied 2 factorial, which is nothing but 10. The answer to this question, this part is 10 number of ways. That's it. Okay, let's move to the third part, which is about no complete pair. Again, this can be solved in multiple ways. One is, in which you make all the possible cases, and I encourage that you also develop this method because it helps you to think and go case by case, and there can be other questions which will eventually want you to explore all the cases. So it's a good idea to practice this way of solving. And then there are other ways which are shortcuts, which gets you the result faster, more elegant way of solving this question. So we'll look at those as well, but let's first start with the more traditional method, which is about finding the exhaustive cases. So examples for no pair is A1, A2, A3, A4. None of these are from a single pair. All of them are left right shoes, left foot shoes. Similarly, all right shoes if you take, or any combination of those such that they are not from same pair. So first method is make all possible cases in which there are no pair shoes, right? Let's look at those shoes. So again, I have listed down the 10 shoes. And let's say one possibility is where you take all the 4 left shoes. If you take all the 4 left shoes, there's no question of any pair coming out of those, right? Because there is no right shoe at all to make at least one pair. Similarly, by symmetry, 4 right shoes can also be another case. Another case could be 3 left and 1 right. Just make sure that that 1 right is not from a completely different pair. It should not coincide with one of the already left shoes that we have selected. So that has to be kept in mind. Similarly, 3 right and 1 left. And then there is a case where we have 2 left and 2 right. Again, make sure that there is no shoe from the same pair. All right. Now let's look at each of these cases in how many number of ways can we achieve each of these cases one by one. 4 left shoes. Now, how many shoes do we have right now? Here we have 5 shoes, right? So 5C4 is the total number of ways of selecting 4 shoes, 4 left shoes out of 5 left shoes. What about 5 right shoes? By symmetry, same, right? 5 right shoes and 4 out of them have to be selected, can be done in 5C4. And remember, this is all plus because these are all OR conditions, right? Either I can select method case 1 or case 2 or case 3 or case 4 or case 5, right? So OR means addition. So that's why we are adding. And now 3 left and 1 right. So 3 left means I have 5 left shoes. Out of that, 3 can be selected in, let's say these are A2, A4, A5, can be selected in 5C3 ways. Now, because I have selected these, corresponding to these, I cannot select B2, B4 and B5, isn't it? Therefore, only 2 choices are left, B1 and B3. And out of these, I have to select 1 right because 3 left and 1 right. So 1 out of 2 right shoes can be selected in 2C1 ways, isn't it? So now, similarly, 3 right and 1 left by symmetry should give me the same result. Okay. and then 2 left and 2 right. Okay, here again, if you look at 2 left, 2 left is out of 4. So let's say those are A1 and A3. That can be done in 5C2 ways. Yeah, 2 out of the 5 left shoes. That can be done in 5C2 ways. Corresponding to those, B1 and B3 are already gone. We can't select them. So remaining we have B2, B4, B5. So out of those 3, I have to select 2 right, right? So 2 left and 2 right. So 2 out of 3 can be selected in 3C2 ways, right? So these are number of ways in for each of these cases. Now if we calculate these, it is nothing but 5C4 is 5 plus 5, and then 5C3 is 10, but 2C1 is 2. Similarly, 5C3 multiplied 2C1 is 10 into 2, and 5C2 is the same as 5C3, which is 10, and 3C2 is 3. So if we calculate this further, this is nothing but 80. So there are total 80 number of ways to select 4 shoes such that there are no complete pair. Okay. Now this is an exhaustive case. We took all the cases and we didn't leave any case. Now if I had to solve it in a more elegant way, faster, how would I do that? So again, these are the same examples. So what we can do is we can select 4 pairs out of the 5 pairs. Okay. Remember we had to select 4 shoes, right? And we don't have to make any, there should be no complete pair. So we select 4 pairs first, and then from each of those selected 4 pairs, we exactly pick 1 shoe. By doing that, we are ensuring that we are never picking a pair. So we have isolated these 4, basically we have selected these 4 pairs, which can be done in 5C4 ways, right, from the 5 pairs. Now we visit each of these pairs and we only take out 1 shoe out of each pair. So for this A1, B1, we can select 1 out of those 2 in 2C1 ways. For A2, B2, I can again do that in 2C1 ways. For A4, B4, 2C1 ways. A5, B5, again 2C1 ways. So basically it is nothing but 5C4 into 2 to the power 4, right? This will make sure that I have never picked shoes that are from the same pair. And therefore the answer is 5 into 16, which is 80, which is the same as the previous. All right. Now let's look at, now think about it. When you get these questions, think like a smart test taker. Remember, in the first 2 parts of the question, they have asked about exactly 1 pair and exactly 2 pairs, right? If I have to find a no complete pair, it basically means that if I knew total ways of choosing 4 shoes out of 5 different pairs of shoes, which means 4 shoes out of 10 shoes, if I knew the total number of ways of doing that, and if I removed the cases of exactly 1 pair and exactly 2 pair cases, then I should get no complete pair cases, right? Because eventually that case where you select any 4 shoe out of 10 shoes is nothing but the summation of cases where it is exactly 1 pair present, exactly 2 pair present, and no complete pair present, isn't it? So to find out no complete pair, you simply reduce these first 2 parts of the question from the total possibilities of 10C4, right? It's as simple as that. So if you think from question setter's point of view, you will be able to nail this within seconds if you have already done the first 2 parts. So basically we are minusing these 2 cases from total ways of selecting 4 shoes. Okay. So first we calculate the total number of ways of selecting 4 shoes from 10 shoes, which is 10C4 minus 120, which we had found out in our previous cases. For exactly 1 pair it was 120, and for exactly 2 pairs it was 10. So we subtract both this 120 and 10 from 10C4 and I should get the answer. So 10C4 is nothing but 7 into 8 into 9 into 10 by 4 factorial. minus 130, and this is nothing but 210 minus 130, which is the same as 80. And we found out in our previous two methods also, and in method 3 also, the answer is 80. Make sure you understand and look at the question from this point of view as well. Great. So that's all for this question. Thank you very much.